Now I'll welcome you as the president of Women Ties. I'm Tracy Higginbotham, very proud president of Women Ties, which stands for Women Together Inspiring Entrepreneurial Success. We celebrated 11 years in business this past March during Women's History Month. And it's really all thanks to you, because when I look out here, all of you have done the same thing. You think of the dream of what your business looks like and what it could be. Well, you're living in my dream at this moment. If you weren't here, I wouldn't have the dream and I wouldn't have the company. So I'm very, very appreciative that you're part of Women Ties and that you chose to be here today in beautiful Skaneateles, New York. And what I hope, too, is that you'll pay attention on all of the name tags. I decided this year to put the region of where all of our women entrepreneurs are from so that you really, truly can meet women from other regions, which is the point of Women Ties. So if you're from Rochester, look for Mohawk Valley, look for the North Country, look for Finger Lakes, Binghamton. We go all over the state and make a point to try to see if you can expand your marketplace someplace else. So every year I have to contemplate what the message or the theme of this year's retreat is going to be. It's the 8th annual this year, so thank you. How many people have been here for almost all 8? Wow, good group, thank you. How many for the first time? More, that's good too. Well, when I thought about this year's retreat, my friend Susan Beebe, who's been a longtime member of Women Ties, suggested that her friend Pat, who is from Canada, could be a keynote speaker. So I went to Pat's website, and on the website there was the word evolve. And I thought, you know, that's a really great theme, because we evolve every second, every day, every week, every year as women, and also as women entrepreneurs. The saying is that everything in life, nothing stays the same. You can expect change, that's the one constant. So I thought that it would be great to have the theme this year of evolve. So as you're listening to the different subjects on sales or public relations or finance, think about how you can evolve yourself as a woman entrepreneur within these certain subject areas. So when I thought of the word evolve, I thought, there was a crucial moment in my life, and I'd like you throughout the day today to think about other pivotal moments in your life that have impacted you, have put you in this room at this place today. So when I was thinking of the theme as well, and I thought of the word evolve, a story came to mind instantly. Some of you may have heard this before, but it's such an important one to me that it's worth repeating. So I hadn't realized the woman that I had become until one day my son Adam came home from elementary school. He was probably, 7 or 8 at the time. And he came home and he said, "Mom." I said, "Yes." And he said, "I had to describe you in 3 words to my teacher today in class." See, people are already laughing because they know what the 3rd word is. So I said, "Well, my gosh, what are they?" And he said, "Well, the first word is loving." And I said, "Oh, that's good. I'm great that that's the one that you picked first." And he said, "And the second word is smart." And I said, "That's really great that you think that I'm smart. I'm glad that you think that, Adam." And I said, "And so what's the 3rd word?" And he said, "Feminist." And I remember looking down at him like this going, "Feminist? Do you even know what feminist means?" I didn't even think I ever used the word. He goes, "You think that women rule the world." And I said, "Oh my gosh, I'm raising 2 sons that think that women rule the world. What are they going to turn out to be? Maybe they'll marry women like me. Maybe they'll marry women not like me. Maybe they'll wear pink. I don't really care what they do, as long as they can identify who they are." So I had never thought I even used the word feminist. And it really wasn't until that moment that I thought to myself, you know what, I am, and I'm sort of proud of being that. And when you think of the word feminist, you think of some of the images probably from the 1960s and 70s, women burning their bras. Now, who really wouldn't want to do that? Now signs, liberation, female reproductive rights. And really, those are some of the images of feminism. But I liked what President Obama, I'm going to have to read this and hopefully not have to put on my pink glasses. This is what he said recently in a Glamour article about feminism and what he's trying to do to help his wife and daughters, obviously, who are females. So he said, so we shouldn't downplay how far women have come. That would do a disservice to all those who spent their lives fighting for justice. At the same time, this is where I need the glasses. Everybody bear with me. How many people have to wear glasses? Come on. Yeah, exactly, okay. At the same time, there's a lot of work we need to do to improve the prospects of women and girls here and around the world. And while I'll keep working on good policies for equal pay or equal work to protect reproductive rights, there are some changes that have nothing to do with passing new laws. In fact, the most important change may be the toughest of all, and that's changing ourselves. So I thought that was just a really neat quote from him. So as you look at your bags and some of the different literature that we have this year on women ties, I've decided to sort of embrace a larger mission for Women Ties. And it's women supporting women in business, sports, equality, and life. Because those are some of the key areas to me. And I know that, that's part of the involvement of what Women Ties has been, and I hope today, throughout the day, you pick those significant moments in your life that have evolved you. Maybe there's something you're looking to do to change within your business. We can change anything we want to do as long as it makes sense for us and as long as we communicate it well to our constituents. So the first is women supporting women in business. This is the origin of what Women Ties is. It is my way to help with pay inequality. I believe that women should, first and foremost, put their money in the bank accounts, in the hands, and the pocketbooks of women first and foremost. And I just believe until we make as much money as men do, that it's up to us as women to try to support financially our sisters as much as we can. We're investing in women when we do that. We also need to suggest to the wonderful college graduates, some of the college students we have here today, to make sure that they're asking for raises and that they get enough money when they come out of school. We have to make sure that we're getting the amount of money that we deserve, that we don't back down from asking our fair price. And I love when my husband always rolls his eyes. I'm like, oh, there's a girl at a lemonade stand. I'm stopping by. And we'll pull over, and I'll go up to her, and I'll give her a little pep talk and say, you're an entrepreneur. Do you realize you run a business? And how much are you selling that for? The girls are like looking at me like, who is this crazy lady? And then they'll say, it's 50 cents. And I'll say, I'm glad it's 50 cents, but I'm going to give you $2 because I think you're doing such a great job, and you should be charging more for your lemonade. I swear to God, that's what I do. My husband's like, oh my gosh, Trace, can't you just let it go? I mean, really? And so they sort of look in bewilderment, but you never know when that might actually sit true with them. So that's women supporting women in business. The next is women supporting women in sports. We know for years that men have been doing business on the golf course. I tried to be a golfer, but I am Italian, mom, and I'm not that patient on the golf course, so I haven't ever done business on the golf course. But we put together a sports division of the Women's Athletic Network 3 years ago. And what's important is last year, and is Kim here from Syracuse University? Is she still downstairs? Or is she right there in the back? So last year, how many of you heard about Syracuse women's basketball going to the Final Four? Woo-hoo! See? So I said to my husband, come on, we're going to go to the final game before they can make it. So we went. There was free parking. It's usually, I think, $15 for men. The tickets were $15 a piece. For men's, they're much more expensive. I was sitting third row, center court, and the dome was probably quarter full, maybe. And it was the same game, and the women played just fantastic. And they advanced so far. And you think to yourself, why aren't there women in the stands supporting women athletes as well? So that is part of what Women Ties is doing with our Women's Athletic Network. And why I invited Kim Keenan Patrick. Can you stand up for a moment? You should all know. Yeah. She is the new Deputy Athletics Director at Syracuse University, and also, I think, the administrator for the women's sports side of it. So I'm buying tickets to the season tickets for women's basketball this year. I encourage you to maybe join me on some snowy night when there's nothing else to do or not snowy, and talk to Kim more about those tickets. And Women's Athletic Network will always get women together too to run in the 5K races and 19K races, and just to have and do business and be around other women, not just in a business setting. And then the next is women supporting women in equality. So another significant moment for me was in 1998. In Syracuse, New York, down at the Syracuse City Hall, they were celebrating the 150th anniversary of the first Women's Rights Convention, which took place in 1848. And they had invited women to read the actual words from that convention. And so here are women like Karen DeCrow, who was a now president and was an attorney in Syracuse, and I think Nancy Cantor, there were females from all leadership of life that were there to read these words. And as I sat in the audience, I was just struck by how much women ahead of us have done to make sure that we were sitting in the audience there today. I wouldn't have been a business owner if it wasn't for the women that really fought for that. And so when I ended up going to the Women's Rights Park a couple of years ago to get a Maker's Award, how many of you have ever been to the Seneca Falls, to the Women's Rights Museum? Goose pimples? I don't know. Goosebumps? It's amazing. If you haven't gone, I encourage you to go. But where's Katie? Katie, are you here? So Katie's going to stand up for a moment. Katie right here. Is the major person behind, in Generations Bank, behind the women's right to run race, 19K and 5K, that it's going to help raise money for the National Women's Museum. They don't even have an official museum yet. And so you could talk to her. And then next year, also something you should know, 2017 is the anniversary of New York's suffrage movement, and there'll be a lot of activities happening in and around the state. So I just encourage you to also get involved and pay attention to some of those activities. And last, women supporting women in life. I am the oldest of 8 through my blended family. The first 6 are girls. Last 2 are guys. They're great, soft, female, kind of male guys. I love them. In life, I've always tried to support my sisters, and also I have nieces that are all from the age of 14 to 4. And I think that we owe it to the next generation of women to do as much for them as we can, just like the 4 mothers did for us. So where are my SUNY Oswego girls? Can you stand up? Are you here? Stand up. Where are our business students? Some of the female business students from Oswego put together a women's club so that they could have a group just for the girls on campus. So I hope that they, in turn, turned around and pay it back to people behind them. So I just want you to think about See Pink, Live Pink, and Buy Pink, and those 4 messages of women supporting women in business, life, sports, and equality. And the last thing is, you might be saying, well, so what do we do about the men? Since I have 2 guys that are here in the audience with us. And I say, I love men. I have a husband, I have 2 sons, I have 2 brothers. My personal mission is to help women as much as I can advance, especially to make more money through business. But I figure that someday when I land in jail, probably from being too much of a feminist, that, my boys might keep me in there for a day or 2 to just really think about the things I've said about women being better drivers and, all the women can do sports and everything else. And I'm hoping that maybe some of you will show up and get me out, because it really is about women supporting women. And if you don't come get me, nobody's going to come and get me. That's all I can say. So that is really my message for today. Please embrace the other women that are here. I want this to feel like it's your home, that you can approach anybody, that you can talk about anything, and that you can really develop some new, warm, collaborative relationships today. So I will say that's the end of my welcome speech for now. So please enjoy the day.